Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast. This week we have Blink-182's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast. As usual, I am Brad with my co-host here, Jason. Say hello,
Howdy.
Jason. There we go. Howdy, howdy. Very good. This week we're going to talk about Blink-182's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. My first question for you, Jason, is how long and how many times did you have to say that album name before you realized what it meant?
A few.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I do remember looking at the album cover and trying to figure out the airplane, the pants, the jacket, and being like, oh, that's neat. I get it. And then finally, like, way longer than it probably should have, I was like, oh, okay. There we go. Very good.
You know, it was real fun trying to talk about that. We're talking about this episode to my wife when the kids were around. I'm like, we're gonna be talking about that Blink-182 album, the one that has First Date
airplane on it. Yes. So a funny thing about this album for me is that, like I said, most of the stuff I had was like we just burned each other's CDs growing up, just like everybody does. And I had a friend who had this. He bought the original. I think he got it for his birthday or something like that. And so he had it, and he's like, "I'll burn it for you. It's awesome." I was like, "Oh, sweet." And so it took me a long time to get into it because the copy I had was so bad. It was so scratched up. That when he went to burn it for me, he's like, it'll be fine. It fixes the scratches when you burn it. It's like, okay, yeah, all right. Like maybe like a little bit, there's like a little bit of correction, but not when you have chunks of the actual like cover missing on the CD.
Oh man.
So like Reckless Abandon, until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I thought there was a part in the song where it skipped back. Like I thought they did like a little edit on it. And then listening, I was like, oh, that's actually really smooth. I like that. And then it's like, oh, this is a full song, not just a 30-second Rufio style instrumental, So it's like I finally got the full and complete experience, and I love it. I love the entire album. It's so good. I mean, there's like the random Blink tracks on there, but it's fine. It's good. It's a really good album. I like it a lot. But Jason, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the first track that you picked for this one?
So this actually, I'm breaking the rules. 5 episodes in. So this song isn't really on the album, but I think it's an important song to talk about because it was a single that came out right before the album was released. So I want to talk about Man Overboard for a second. Generally believe that it's about their original drummer Scott and his alcohol abuse problems. I honestly think it's probably their best song.
It might very well be their absolute best song. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah, and the thing that's funny about that is that, like, until you mentioned it, because I try to stick to the albums because I like the continuity. I forgot about this song.
And that's why I want to talk about it, because I think it's almost like a bridge between Enema of the State and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, where it could fit on both albums.
Yes, it could. And for a long time, I thought it was on Enema of the State. So I would skip through looking for it. And then
I thought it was on Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. So this is hilarious.
Well, and so I thought you could only get the live version of it. I thought you could only get the live version on the Mark, Tom, and Travis show. Right?
Right.
And like, I'm not always one live version of a song. Like, it's fine. Right? It's fine. But I like the consistent mastering and mixing that comes with the studio version, rather than listening to the crowd cheer over the lyrics of a live version of a song. So I was actually really upset that when I think the only version we had for a long time was off that live album. And that might have been part of the reason I forgot about it. But
I seem to recall, and Blink must have been like the American Pie band. I feel like this was either on the soundtrack for American Pie 2, or it was played in the movie. Which I think leads me to that whole thinking it was on Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, because of the movie was out in 01. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was out in 01. But man, I'm normally the lyric guy, and the lyrics are good in this, but the music in this song is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. It's some of the best. It really is like so good. And I specifically remember, now that I'm thinking back on it, like I thought it was on Enema of the State. I had that guitar book I mentioned last week, for the Enema of the State album. I was flipping through frantically, is what it was. Is frantically flipping through that book looking for the tabs for the song, because I wanted to look at it. And I remember being very upset that it was not on the album. Wasn't actually on it. But no, it's a great one. I mean, it's another one of those essential pop punk songs, right?
Yeah, definitely. And
that you've got to know it to
this
have
albumless
to get the
single.
Yes, and there's another one. When we get to AFI, I've got one of those that I want to get on there, because I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there's an albumless song by AFI that I have not been able to get enough of in my entire life, and I listen to it all the time on like a regular basis. So there's a little teaser for you.
Okay.
Anywho, all right, let's talk about. I'm going to go again with the beginning of the album. One of my favorite songs on. I mean, this is actually what sucked me into this album, was the anthem part 2. I'll be honest with you, because I didn't know the names of the songs on Enema of the State, I was very confused by part 2 for a long time. It's like, so where's part 1? But then I found out, that part 1 is the end of Enema of the State. Part 2 is the beginning of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. And this is such a good song that is truly an anthem to the teenage years. Like everything it talks about. So let me get in here with the chorus a little bit, is that we really need to see this through. We never want it to be abused. We'll never give up. It's no use if we're going to try not to swear too much on this thing, but if we're effed up, you're to blame. So that's like the mentality of a teenager, right?
It is, yeah. Us darn millennials.
That's like, yeah, I mean, as a high schooler, like that was like it right there. Like I didn't want any of this. I didn't want to do any of this. Like, yeah, I always just wanted to do my own thing, and anyway.
What's weird? I don't want to say weird about the song. What was odd about the song? It came out in 01. I'm a junior. 9/11 happens, and then listening to the song with the bridge, everything has fallen to pieces. It hit on a different level after that.
I could see that, because I wasn't introduced to this album until about a year later. I was like 16. It was 02 for me. So I could see that, by that time everything had settled, and I was in my 16, 17-year-old angsty teenage phase, where you think you know everything and you need all the freedom in the world, and really you don't know anything, and you really need the leash, But yeah, to me, this is a song that hit perfectly with the way that I felt as a teenager. And that was one of the reasons that I would crank it up and sing it as loud as I could everywhere I went. Everywhere I went.
I understand that feeling about certain songs.
So anyway, that is the anthem part 2. What do you got next, Jason?
Let's skip that one for now. Let's go with Stay Together for the Kids, which was I would say on par with Adam's song in regards to how powerful it was lyrically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
so go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. No. You go ahead. This is your song. Go ahead.
It's my song just because I think it's a powerful song. This is one of those few songs I don't have a super emotional attachment to. I just think it's one of those songs that almost needs to exist, because a lot of people in our generation come from split families.
Mm-hmm.
And our generation was their audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. Like for me personally, like this was never a song that hit hit home personally, because it's not something I had to deal with, but I had friends who did, and that was like their anthem, right? That, I had a cousin who specifically said, like, I think my mom and dad are only together because of us, were his exact words. So this is something he was dealing with, and then I had friends who were in the same boat, and so I know that this hits home to a lot of people. And like you said, it's a really important song, something for kids of our generation when we were kids, something for them to hold on to and to have, right?
And I definitely think like people like kids like me and you, we were like the exception, not the rule back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. All right, let's go ahead and take a short break, and when we get back, we have, again, 3 more songs that we'd like to talk about to you on this album.
I'm Jason.
And I'm David, and we're the hosts of the Non-North Sports Podcast. We're the home of sports talk for everyone. Join us bi-weekly as we talk about the happenings in sports.
You can find the Non-North Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever else you find your podcasts.
9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. Weekly episodes for the entire baseball family where we talk all baseball all the time. Available on all your favorite podcast apps and on YouTube. Come join our baseball family where we do baseball together.
Welcome back to the Punk Popcast. So we're talking this week about Blink-182's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Now, I wanted to go real quick and talk about one of my favorite songs on this, because it was, I guess you could say it was an anthem for a conquest. This song is The Rock Show. So
Here we go.
So this story, I don't know, it's so stupid. So I went to a concert once, and it was the Drive-Thru Invasion tour. It's an outstanding concert. I was there because I wanted to see. I knew the starting line, Homegrown, and who else? I knew the start. Anyway, I went to see Homegrown in the starting line. It happened to be early November. Alistair and Census Fail were there as well. One of the best shows I've ever been to. It was an amazing lineup. But anyway, so I'm buying my Homegrown t-shirt at the merch stand, and this girl comes over. She's like, "That's a really cool shirt." I was like, "Right? I think it's awesome." She's like, "Yeah, you should try it on," and all this stuff. And I was like, but she's like totally hitting on me. And I was like this obtuse 17-year-old, just like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah." And so I leave. As there are 2 of my best friends. I leave, and he goes, "Dude, you should go, he's like, you should make out with her." He's like, "She was hot." I was like, "Yeah, she was hot." He's like, "Dude, go." And so I turned out, she was gone, just flat out disappeared. I didn't see her for the rest of the night, and I ended up running into previously mentioned ex-girlfriend's best friend. Anyway, right after that. So I was like, dang it, missed this girl. So after that, it became a thing that I was like, okay, I've got to find a girl at a concert. So badly need to find a girl. And Jason, it never happened. It never happened. I had this complex of I have to. And it wasn't because of this song. It wasn't until after that I heard the song. I was like, yes, I need that. I need that in my life. But it wasn't meant to be. But anyway, I love this song though. It's so good.
It is awesome. It is a great song. And first off, I have to say, how naive were your friends that you're just gonna turn around and make out with this girl? It's just gonna happen like that.
Well, so this was a trend. Okay, so sometimes I felt like I might have been the only one who either didn't care when it came to talking to girls in high school, or maybe they felt like I was the one who had the most confidence, because I was typically the one to do it. There was this one time we were just driving around town when I get free food from different places, doing all the different cons that you can do to get free food from fast food places. And so we're sitting in the McDonald's parking lot waiting for them to bake our chocolate chip cookies that they quote unquote forgot to put in our bag 3 hours ago.
There you go.
And they're like, well, we don't have cookies. And like, well, we came in at 6:30. Well, we ran out at 7. Well, 6:30 is before 7. And they baked me some cookies. So they baked us some cookies, and we're sitting in the parking lot waiting. And there was a bank that shared a parking lot with this McDonald's. And so we're sitting there. My buddy has this like one of those vans that has like the swivel rockers and then like the curtains on windows.
Nice. Very nice.
It's one of those. There is 8 of us sitting in this van, and at the time I was one of the smaller members of this group of friends, because they all played football. Just for frame of reference, at the time I was 5'10", maybe 210, 5'10", maybe 210 or so. So we're sitting there, and this car pulls into the drive-through ATM in the parking lot for the bank, sitting across parking lot. And so the girl in the passenger seat was like smoking hot, like just amazing. And they're like, dude, and we're like, oh my gosh, she's so hot. And so I'm sitting there on the floor in this van, and one of my buddies goes, Brad, go ask for her number. I'm like, all right. So this is, I'm not making this up, dude. This is a true story. So I go walking over there. We did not see who was in the driver's seat of this car. We just see this girl in the passenger seat. And so I'm walking over there, and I get probably 20 feet from their car, and I see that she's with a guy, that there's a guy in the driver's seat. And I was like, well, I'm committed at this point. Like, I can't like turn around, which I could have. It was so stupid. So I walked over there, I knocked on the window.
But you got.
I don't know why either, because it's all gone. All of it is, and it's all gone. So I go there, I knock on the window, and she cracks like the tiny little, just like enough that like I don't even know if you could have put a piece of paper in it, but just enough that I could talk through the window. And she's like, "Hi." I was like, "Hi. I saw you from across the parking lot. I thought you were really pretty. I just wanted to see if I could get your number. We could go out sometime." And she just goes, "No." Like, all right, thanks. Have a good night. And I turned around and walked back, and walked back across the parking lot. And I waved at her boyfriend, like, nice to meet you, you know? It's like, go back and get in the van. Like, what'd she say? I was like, well, she was with her boyfriend. So she said, no. Like, oh, so we're all sitting there laughing, just like cracking up by this whole thing. Well, not a minute later, a car comes peeling out of that drive-through and comes and pulls up next to us. And the guy gets out of the car, and he's like, hey, I don't think it's funny you sending your friend over there and asking my girlfriend for a number. You don't send a guy over to ask him, blah, blah, just like going off and stuff. And my buddy's like, well, dude, like we couldn't even see who was in the car. For all we knew, it was another girl. He's like, you saying I look like a girl? You saying? I'm like, no, it's dark. The windows are tinted. We couldn't see. Like we didn't know who was in the driver's seat. And so he's like yelling at us and stuff, like trying to get us to get out and fight. And I'm just sitting on the floor, just like laughing and laughing because he's in my buddy's face, and he's like a big dude, but you can't really tell because in a van. And so for reference, our rival high school was called Columbia River High School, and we called them River Rats. And so one of my friends back, big dude, like offensive lineman, big football player, yells, go back where you came from, you river rat. And so this guy throws his head into the window. Who said that? And he sees all of us sitting there. I just gave him this big grin, just like and all of a sudden he changes his tune. He starts back and he's like, guys, I'm just saying, as he's backing away from the car, he's like, I'm just saying that sometimes, you know, you don't mess with another guy's girl, like backing away, hands up, all defensive. And and then my buddy who was driving, we had been hitting some baseballs at the park that night, so we had like 4 bats in the back, and he starts hitting the drivers, like the steering wheel, like, get my bat, where's my bat, I want my bat, get my bat. And the guy like turns and runs to the car and drives off. We're like, oh my god. Like, what did he think was gonna happen?
I don't know. It sounds like
you could see.
At the end of the night, you might have a good chance of getting her number after that. Maybe,
yeah. I don't know. It's so funny. Like that. I don't know. That's one of my favorite things that ever happened in high school. It's so funny. Like, has nothing to do with rock show, whatever. But it was like all part of that. I guess that conquest of like finding some girl who I never knew, and like I guess the naivety of my friends at the concert being like, dude, you should go make out with her. So I don't know.
That's great. I love it.
It's so funny. But all right, anyways, Jason, what song do you have next for us?
Well, now my story can't top this. I'm host now. See, you set them up, and I'm just gonna crash them down. This is great. This is how comedy works, people. So my next song is First Date. So
All right.
my story, I'm on my way to my first date with Jamie because we still were kind of seeing people.
Yeah, I get it.
So we were hanging out and we were broke. So so like no joke, I think I paid for the movie and she paid for 2 slices of pizza.
Nice.
That's broke. So I'm on the way to my first date with her. And I got an hour drive to where I'm meeting her at. And I had just got a new car, like my first new car ever. It was at that time 32 miles per gallon, which was like a lot. And I had an hour drive.
Nice.
So I'm got Sirius free and I'm listening to Faction and it's 2007. What are the chances they're going to play a song from 2001, 2002? Sure enough, First Date comes on. And I just feel like it set the tone for how that entire night went. Like listening to it like again as an adult and going back to that time, like I couldn't eat. I was nervous the whole time. It was easily like I always say it's the first date that never ended because obviously I married her and I knew right from that night I was marrying her. But like I fussed over my hair. I fussed over like I'm not like a fussy dude anymore, but I was then because like I was fashion core. Look, I might have looked a lot like James from 18 Visions when I was skinnier and younger. And I lead you up to this because we saw the movie. We went to grab pizza. We went to this bar that we both got soda at, and our waitress probably hated us because she never charged us for them. And we didn't leave there until like 2 a.m. and we're sitting in my car talking. And she looks over at me and she goes, "Are you going to kiss me or what?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay then." Because I was so caught off guard. But like, I feel like that song, like it just set the entire tone and it's always had a special place in my heart ever since then.
That's awesome. I like that. That's a great story. That's a great story, Jason.
Thank you.
The fact that like that song set it up is rad. That's awesome. Very cool.
So what is your next?
Well, real quick with First Date, I do think it's an awesome song, like so good. It's one of those ones that catches you and everybody can relate to it, right? That that there's stuff that goes on a first date that it's like, oh geez, oh she probably thinks I'm stupid, you know, like it's all there. It is all there. Yes. And even like, you know, my wife, I was 21 when my wife and I started dating. And we were friends before, but I still was like self-conscious about it when we first went on our first date. You know, we'd been hanging out for 2 months by that point. But then when I went on that date, like it's like everything changes. It doesn't matter who it is. Everything changes and it's a big deal. So
yes,
it's another one that we can all relate to. All right, for my last one, so I told you the other day this is going to be a game time decision, and I actually finally made my decision about a minute ago. And it was between Reckless Abandon and Story of a Lonely Guy. So first off, with Reckless Abandon, that's one of my favorite Blink songs just because of the way that it hits, the way that it flows. It's a fun song to listen to. I just like it a lot. It has nothing to do. I mean, maybe I have a little bit of Reckless Abandon based on my last story. Asking a girl for her number when they're with her boyfriend in the driver's seat of a car. But Story of a Lonely Guy is the one to me that really is most relatable. First off, one of the things that I really like about it is the intro to the song. I'm a big intro guy, as you've noticed.
You are.
And my first thought was with this song that it sounds very, I describe it to myself and in my notes as Mestian, that it sounds like a Mist song.
That's a shirt.
But then I was like, wait a minute, this song came out in 2001, and the album, I can't even think off the top of my head which Mess album it is. I want to say it's Cried Out to Heaven or something like that. But that didn't even come out till like 05, 06. So they obviously drew their inspiration from Blink-182. And Tony Lovato has gone on record saying that Mess wears their influences on their sleeve. So I don't think that's something that he'd be upset with me saying. Anyway, that being said, everybody had that girl who, it says, the chorus of this song is, she makes me feel like it's raining outside, and when the storm's gone, I'm all torn up inside. I'm always nervous on days like this, like the prom. I get too scared to move because I'm an effing boy. Like, there was always that girl who was like the person, the girl you wanted to ask out, but you never did, right? Because for me, there was this one particular girl my junior year in high school, I can think of off the top of my head, who I always wanted to ask out, but never did, because every time I started to, I was like paralyzed with fear on the inside, right? And she was a friend, and that might have been part of it, but I feel like there's always, every guy has that girl, and I don't want to say that it's like the what could have been stuff, because I am happily married, but there was always that girl who you wanted to ask out, who you never did, right? And to me, that's what this feels like.
I don't look at, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't look at it as what could have been. I almost feel like it's one of those things you have to live through. Like, it almost teaches you have to take the chance when you get it.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I had one. Ironically enough, she moved to our school in junior year. And senior year, she ended up dating like one of the guys in my friend group, and I'm like,
oh no.
but you're right though. Like, I think a lot of us, even girls, we all have that person who, like, we had a thing for, and we just never went for. And I think their purpose in our lives is to, teach us, you got to go for it.
Yeah.
You can't just let it happen for you, because it's not.
Yep. I agree with you for sure. So Jason, let's wrap things up here. What did you rate this album on your essential pop punk scale?
So I gave it a 90. The reason being, I didn't think it was as overall strong as Enema of the State. Plus, I think Enema of the State kind of set the bar really high.
Yeah, it did.
What was your rating?
A 90 for the same reason. That it's really good. Like, I might give it a 95 just because it is really good. But front to back, it's not as strong as I would say that it's not as strong as Enema of the State, just because, like, I don't know, Happy Holidays, that's fine. Like, I get what they're doing there. They're doing the comedy track, things like that. And, like, I don't know, like, it's fun and it's funny and everything, but I have to be in the mood for those kind of comedy tracks. And if I can't just push play on track one and listen all the way to the end and be there for pure enjoyment of the music, I'm going to dock some, right?
Right.
That being said, the good is almost perfect, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that, and I think I think because this is a little bit more hit or miss. It's a little more hit or miss than Enema of the State, which, I mean, that's a seminal album. It's one of the most important albums in the genre. It's hard to top that. But this is a very great album, and it's definitely one that, I mean, we gave it a 90, so it's the bottom of the top.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Like I said, I might give it a 95, but for the sake of brevity, let's go with a 90 on that. But let us know what you think about Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Hit us up on Twitter at Punk Popcast. We will respond to all of your tweets and messages and DMs and whatever you want to send our way. Tag us in tweets, whatever. And let us know what you think about the album. And this is going to wrap up Blink-182 for this season. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and you'll find out too. So be sure to join us